little, I loved stories, listening to stories, reading stories, and maybe that's why I became a therapist. And in my journey as a therapist, I have been witness to amazing stories, incredible stories, stories of pain, yet awe-inspiring stories. For example, Shiv. Next slide, please. Shiv was an incredibly bright kid. He was exceptionally gifted. He was a natural musician. Give him any musical instrument and he could play it. He was a powerful orator. He could enchant the audience with his speeches. However, there was one problem. The problem was that he hated school and he did not like studies. The teachers reacted. They were constantly complaining about him. He doesn't study, he doesn't sit in his place, he doesn't do his classwork, does he do his homework? He's not matching up with the rest of the class. And of course, his parents, like Ritesh was talking about, maybe they were the typical APS parents, they reacted to this by cranking the pressure, by trying to fix the child, by complaining, by blaming, by shaming them. Somehow he managed to finish school, he did his board exams, and he was very, very keen to join a design school. But his parents, they had a very different design on him. They wanted him to go to an engineering college. Because after all, in their family, everybody had been to an engineering college. How could he not go there? He tried to explain to them, this is not for me. I don't want to do engineering. But they refused to listen to him. It's in your blood. Everybody in our family is an engineer. So how can you not become an engineer? So yes, she went to an engineering college. He hated it there. His way of coping with it was by shutting himself in his room, not attending classes, and spending most of his time playing video games. Slowly, he started slipping into depression. His way of numbing the pain of depression was by taking drugs, alcohol, and of course he failed his exams. The college threw him out, and he came back. When I met Shiv, he was really, really angry with the world. He hated his school. He was angry with his teachers. He was angry with his parents. He was angry with the whole system. What's the point of it all? What's the point of living? I don't give a damn. Another story, Ria. Ria was a happy, playful child who loved movies. She had a big dream of growing up and becoming a filmmaker. When Ria was 12 years old, she was sexually abused by her uncle. She tried talking to her mother, but she was immediately silenced. She was told, it's your fault. You're making it up. He's such a wonderful man. He's valued by everybody. He's a great person. How can you talk about him like that? And what will people say? You can't talk about this to anybody. Ria's world was shaken up. She didn't know who to trust, who not to trust. She felt dirty, damaged, and disgusting. And her way of coping with it was by getting into relationship with older boys in the colony, in the school. And of course, immediately she was given the label of being a slut. A label that we can dispense to girls who do not fit the criteria of being a good girl. For Ria, the world had become really difficult. As she started spinning down into depression, her way of coping with this pain was by cutting herself. Her school found out that she was cutting herself. They were very angry. They called the parents and said, this is not acceptable in our school. This is against the rules. We can't take responsibility for this. Please take your daughter back home. Her parents were very angry with her. They brought her home, but they were very angry with her. What is all this drama? Why are you seeking attention all the time? And why can't you be like other kids? When I met Ria, she had questions I had no answer to. Where am I safe? Where do I belong? And what's my fault? There are millions of children like Ria and Shiv in this world who do not fall into the prescribed role of good kids, of good young people. We all want good kids here. Let's accept it. We all want good kids who do well in school, who do well in studies, who excel in extracurricular activities, do well in sports, are popular, manage their time, stay organized. And anybody who does not fit into this criteria is dumped as not good enough. And the thing is this. In our present day world, where we cannot stop talking, in the real world or in the virtual world, we have lost the art of listening. Listening to each other, listening to children, and especially listening to children we think are not worthy of listening. Shame is the only language we use for children like this. The weird thing with children is, they don't come to you and say, I'm depressed. What you see is their behavior, and behind that is the pain. They internalize. They shut themselves up. They spend hours playing video games. They take to drugs. They cut themselves. They get eating disorders, depression, anxiety, or they externalize. They become aggressive. They become violent. And these are the children these are young people who are demonized. You see their faces and their names splashed in the newspapers. According to WHO, there are 600 million people who live with depression and anxiety in this world. 1 in 4 people have mental health problems. Look at this hall. 1 in 4 of you have mental health problems. 50% of the mental health problems begin before the age of 14 years. In our country, where roughly the population is 1 billion and 35 million, 50% of the population is below the age of 25 years. So I'm not good at math, just try to understand the magnitude of the problem. I'll go on a little tangent. Do you know that there are 18 million street children in our country? That's more than the population of Delhi, out on the streets. Who do these children belong to? They are the most visible children knocking on our window, but most invisible to us. Suicide is the leading cause of death in the young in India. If you think I'm exaggerating, the studies have indicated a student kills himself or herself every hour in our country. It's children like Ria and Shiv, robbed of their dignity, who end up killing themselves. So the thing is this, our children are not failing. We are failing our children every single day. So what decides which child is worthy and which child is not? There exists a blueprint that decides the worthiness of each child. In fact, every person in this room, everybody. And I call it disgraceful. Disability, intellect meaning intelligence. In our country, the only way we measure intelligence of a child or a young person is according to the marks and scores they get. Above 90%. Actually, not above 90%. 90% is not going to get you anywhere. Above 95%. So yes, disability, intellect, sexuality, gender, race, age, culture, economics, family, useful contacts. I was told you are nothing without your contacts. Looks, yes, fair and lovely. Looks and language. This is the acronym which defines the present-day caste system. And the thing is this, you might think that I'm being very harsh to some people. We are all part of this. We are all part of this disgraceful monster. We are the teeth and claws of this monster, damaging our children generation after generation. The way we talk to our children become their inner voices, and the way we talk about them become their life stories. There is a triple whammy that children face, and we have to be really, really careful about this. The triple whammy is, first of all, children and young people are not aware of the injustice of this dominant discourse or this disgraceful monster. They think there's something wrong with them. They think they are not good enough. Something they don't belong. That's the first one. The second one is we don't want to look at their pain. We don't want to see their mental health problems. It's too inconvenient. It's too uncomfortable for us. And the third is, anxiety, depression, mental health problem is part of a human condition. But what is most damaging is the stigma, the silence, and the shame surrounding it. It's like this Delhi's pollution, Very soon we'll be facing that. It starts damaging us, but we don't even realize it. We don't realize how much it's damaging. That's what the silence, shame, and stigma is doing to our children and to all of us. You take a plant, and you put that plant with a flower on a windowsill. What happens? It turns towards the light, right? That's what plants do. They turn towards the light. Children are the same. They need that light. They need that light to grow and to flourish. Now, what happens to children who are surrounded by darkness all the time? There's no light. Like the plants, they wilt away and they die. If not now, then when? If not you, then who? The title of my talk was, Is India Failing Its Children? So who's India? Is India out on the streets, in the parliament, in the colleges, some people out there who are failing our children? Actually, it's all of us out here. The fact is, it's a war out there. Either you're on the side of the light or you're on the side of the dark. For all the Harry Potter fans or the Lord of the Rings fans, you will understand. There's no middle. You have to be on either side of the way. And for all the young people here, yes, for Shiv and Ria, they found their light. They're doing well. Ria is studying filmmaking. She could stand up to the dominant discourse, and yes, she's studying filmmaking. And as far as Shiv is concerned, he's in a design college and he's also part of a music band. For all the amazing young people here, I would say keep that faith. The Youth Ki Awaaz is symbolic of what young people need to do. They need to have that faith. You need to have the faith. You need to be disruptive. You need to be subversive. You need to question. You don't need to listen to the adults all the time. Because we are steeped in the old way of thinking. You're going to create the world. So do something that makes you come alive, that inspires you, that excites you, you feel enthusiastic about. And for the others, parents, educators, other people, adults who work with young people and children, I would say the first thing we need to do is we need to start listening to our children. There's a lot of pain there. I know, I work as a therapist, I work in the community, I work with children. There's a lot of pain out there. It's going to be very uncomfortable, but listen to your children. Second is, the most important thing is we have to start looking at children who are invisible. So start looking for children who are on the lower end of the social hierarchy, of that disgraceful caste system. Children who are marginalized, children who are underserved, children who are underprivileged. It could be because of their religion, the disability, gender, transgender, whatever the reason might be. Start looking at them. Third is start building emotionally safe spaces. What do I mean by building emotionally safe spaces? The thing is this, children are naturally wired to grow, to flourish, to thrive. We just have to give them that space to grow. The metaphor that comes to my mind is we have to be like prisms. Each child, each young person has that light. We have to be like prisms and catch that light and have that faith that each one of them will find their own rainbow. Thank you.